Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The Penitent Cop here. It's been a while since I've done a video, but on October 23rd, the Sun Sentinel posted another article in reference to me being suspended. So I wanted to sit down and do a dissection of this article, bit by bit. So hopefully it won't be too lengthy, but I wanted to dissect it with you guys. Let's begin. Sun Sentinel. Cop reprimanded for calling the Parkland massacre a hoax. I did call it a hoax, but as I've stated many times before, calling something a hoax doesn't necessarily mean nothing happened. I mean, there was a lot of smoke and mirrors. And if you heard me say it before, David Copperfield pulling off the Statue of Liberty disappearance was a hoax. There was a lot of smoke and mirrors around. Can I explain it? No, because I wasn't there. I'm not privy to the backstage preparations for it. So it's a hoax. And that's what I consider some of these shootings to be, hoaxes, where you're not privy to all the details. You can't figure out how they quite pulled it off, but some of the things just doesn't sit right. They aren't very good at these hoaxes, so that's why I call it a hoax. So let's begin. This article is by Lisa Hurriash. She's been very on point when it comes to things that I've done. When I first got arrested, she did the article, and now she was the one to break this story on my controversial views. So let's get started. I digress. A conspiracy theorist cop. Let's stop there. A conspiracy theorist cop. What is the definition of conspiracy? Let's break this word down. I've said it many times before, and most cops don't know it. Conspiracy theorist. A conspiracy where two or more people involved in orchestrating or planning a crime, usually involving a crime. Theorist, theory, having an idea about how something works, a plan. So two or more people involved in committing a crime, and I might have an idea about how they pulled this off. Now, shouldn't every cop be a conspiracy theorist? When he shows up to your home to investigate a burglary, shouldn't he be investigating whether or not more than one person was involved? Maybe he had a buddy hiding around the corner. That's a conspiracy, two or more people. A theory, maybe there was someone else involved. Okay. A conspiracy theorist cop has been reprimanded for calling the Parkland massacre a hoax, and the students paid actors instead of survivors. Students paid actors. Now, I don't know if you guys noticed, but a lot of those kids at the school got payouts. If you were at school that day, you got, I believe, $1,000. If you were in the building that day, I believe you got $14,000. Correct me if I'm wrong, maybe $4,000. And if you got shot that day, I believe it was like $140,000. Call me crazy, but that sounds like paid to me instead of survivors. Now, apparently in 2018, once you're called a survivor, you can no longer be criticized. I'm a survivor. I was in the military. I had an issue where an RPG was fired at the Russian embassy or the American embassy in Moscow. So why can you criticize me? Okay, let's continue. Erickson Harrell, I don't know if I can say the name, beep, who lives in Sunrise, also has been ordered to forfeit 40 hours of pay for unbecoming conduct, which means he misses out on about $1,500 according to police records released Tuesday. Actually, $1,500 is the low end. It's actually pretty much more. I was home for 4 months and at the station for another 2. Now, there's a difference between privilege and a right. When I'm working for an agency, I have privileges like taking home my police vehicle, like working extra details, having certain schedules. Now, those things I lost. I lost the privilege of working extra details, so I lost money. I had to drive my personal vehicle, put gas in my truck, put wear and tear in my truck. That was a privilege. I recognize that. What did I say? I had to change my schedule. I no longer had my 3 days off, and I love my 3 days off. So I only had to work, I worked 5 on, 2 off. I had 2 days off, which sucked. So $1,500 plus the loss of those other benefits and privileges. An internal affairs investigation began in April after inquiries began from South Florida Sun Sentinel. And Harold's social media post subjected the agency to a wave of negative attention, the police department said. Now, I don't know if I brought a wave of negative attention to the agency or did the article, because prior to the article, no one really cared about who I was. No one cared about my Facebook post. But thankfully to Sun Sentinel, it became kind of national. So I don't know if I did. I believe the onus is on Sun Sentinel bringing a wave of negative attention. Harold is going to rethink what he posts going forward, a spokesman said. The city of will continue serving its residents with respect and integrity, said spokesman Major Richard Rand. Continue serving its residents with respect and integrity. I've always prided myself on the performance of my duties. I've treated people like I wanted to be treated. And I actually realized that was a mistake because I should have been treating people like they should be treated, like free people instead of subjects or slaves. So, Harold, who has been reassigned to administrative restricted duty, has been returned to road patrol. And I do enjoy being on the road. I do enjoy interacting with the public. Unlike most officers, you're just out there to do a job and get paid and go home. I actually enjoy communicating with people and sitting down and smiling with them instead of writing them tickets. Harold posted controversial Facebook posts, including ones that doubted whether the Stoneman Douglas massacre on February 14th happened. He referred to student activists as paid actors. They were being paid. I don't know if you guys recall, what was her name? I had a brain fart. The shaved head one with the army jacket. Did you see her performance in D.C. where she was trying to muster up tears? Come on. If that wasn't some poor acting, I don't know what was. Yes, I call mainly the Stoneman Five, the ones on the Time cover, I call them actors because they were being paraded around the country as student activists. Now, if you want to be a public figure, if you want to be an activist, you need to accept the criticism that comes with that. During the internal affairs investigation, Harold told his agency he didn't believe Nicholas Cruz was the shooter in the Valentine's Day massacre at the high school. But investigators noted that Cruz confessed to the crime. How many times have we heard of BS confessions? We don't know. Have we seen video of him confessing? And maybe there is. But my question is, what did this Cruz fellow have to endure prior to his confessions? We've seen throughout history where individuals have been persuaded to confess because going to trial might be a lot less than what they're telling you might get if you're convicted. But again, the 17, 18-year-old child might be afraid to go to prison for the rest of their life, so he might say, I did it, so he can get a lesser penalty. Back to the, I don't believe Nicholas Cruz was a shooter. It's been how many months now after the shooting? Have we seen any video of Cruz with a weapon in his hand? I don't want to see him shooting anyone. But again, show me a video of him coming out of the stairwell with his gun. Show me what he was wearing that day. Because there were other reports from teachers saying they saw someone in full SWAT gear doing the shooting. So my question is, who was this other person doing this shooting that the teacher saw? And there were multiple reports of that from witnesses at the school. Let's continue. A review of Harold's 2017 post also shows he questioned the other massacres, such as Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting deaths in Connecticut. He used hashtags on posts such as Sandy Hook hoax. He wrote that the attacks on September 11 were an inside job. He suggested that British bomb victims at Ariana Grande concerts were actors. What movie stage is this being filmed on? Victims? Yeah, right. Let's go back. That's Sandy Hook. So many questions left unanswered about Sandy Hook. Yes, I still consider that a major hoax. Where, again, I have to go back. A hoax being you're not being told the complete truth. 17 kids, 21 at Sandy Hook, I'm sorry, was shot and killed by a young man, again, with, a lower spectrum of autism, and for no reason he shot these kids. And they tried to explain away why Adam Lanza did this, but nothing that makes sense to me, that this kid just randomly went to this school to shoot these students and teachers. He also posted about a video about Holocaust era Auschwitz death camps that claimed the tour guides that were told to tell lies. Yes, and believe it or not, that video that I watched on the Holocaust was done by a Jewish young man, basically saying that the Holocaust is not completely accurate. So again, you're not allowed to ask questions. You're not allowed to, not think what the television is telling you is the truth, or you're going to get politically persecuted. Harold could not be reached for comment at the agency today, on Tuesday. Personal files show Harold, an officer with the city since December 1998, earns more than $78,000 a year. I don't see how that's relevant, but I guess. Harold was cleared of a second violation, which was labeled inattention to detail as a result of personal admissions on social media. That investigation began because Harold said on YouTube video that he doesn't arrest people for victimless crimes. Now, people in law enforcement, particularly the higher levels, they don't like to hear that an officer is not making an arrest. Why? Because those arrests, they provide revenue for the state, the city, and everyone involved, corporations. They don't like to hear an officer not making arrests. Now, when I say victimless crimes, again, people, I'm talking about these petty crimes the majority of people are arrested for, usually drugs and traffic. And I'm talking the drug of choice that I see mostly coming through the agency is marijuana. Again, in 20 years, I've never had to fight someone high on marijuana. Again, you want to talk about cocaine and things like that, the prescription pills that Big Pharma pushes on every other commercial. Yeah, that's a different thing. But traffic arrests, I think these things do more to harm society than to help and protect people. He had come under scrutiny before for controversial posts. Records show he was suspended for 40 hours in 2016 after sending YouTube videos to other police employees about an alleged government conspiracy involving the attacks of 9/11. Yes, again, 9/11, a major one, major hoax, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, I don't even know where to begin with 9/11. Again, do the research on your own. Two planes crashed in New York, and 3 buildings collapsed at free fall speed. Now, I would even give the naysayers, benefit of the doubt when they say, well, a plane hit the building, so that caused it to collapse. But what about World Trade Center 7? If you don't know about World Trade Center 7, that's because the media has done a great job in keeping it out of the news. So yes, I do believe 9/11 was an inside job, and I think, if you can give a little, I sent the video hoping that somebody would, read it or watch it and maybe have some new insight to what the mainstream media is not telling you. There's a lot of good documentaries out there, if they still exist. Right now, YouTube is purging a lot of those videos. So yeah, there is a war on your freedom of thought. There's a war on for your mind. They don't want you to know certain things. And while Harold was arrested in Plantation in 2013 for a one-man protest against Obamacare, and the state attorney's office did not prosecute, he still was docked 20 hours pay for violating 3 internal affairs policies. That included having a membership in an activist group that supports interference with the established government. Prosecuted for docked 20 hours, violating term. I didn't know having or following someone, an anonymous group on Facebook is being a member. I'm not a member of Anonymous. Anonymous is not a group, if you understand anything about Anonymous. It's an idea that they want to go after the bad guys through hacking and things like that. I don't have any hacking ability, but I guess following them on YouTube or Facebook makes me a member with established government. Investigators at the time also said he spent excessive amounts of time on Facebook, YouTube, and conspiracy theory related websites during work hours. Excessive amounts of time on Facebook. I acknowledge I was on Facebook because for me, that's where I got most of my news from. I don't go to I don't go to, Channel 7 and MSNBC and CNN for my news. I get more friends sharing information, news on Facebook. And I like how they try to make it seem like Facebook and social media is not that important when everything we do now is directed at tweeting and Facebook. Our agency even now has a social media page. So yeah, I went to Facebook to get some of my information, and a lot of you out there share a lot of great information that I go and research. And that research led me to YouTube. YouTube has a lot of great videos if you know where to look. Oh, well, you can't learn everything from the internet. Everything on the internet is not true. I know that, ladies and gentlemen. I pulled the engine out of my truck thanks to YouTube videos. So if you're not learning anything from YouTube, you're not using it correctly. YouTube and conspiracy theory related websites. I would imagine they're talking about Alex Jones. I did go to Alex Jones. He had a lot of great guests on. I went to a lot of alternative websites like the Drudge Report. These websites that the establishment doesn't want you going to. So I did spend a lot of time on that. I acknowledge that. I accepted my whatever they alleged that I did wrong, and I moved on. But again, for me, that was all about education. And here in America, that is not something that's advocated. That is not something that's promoted. They don't want education because educated people can't be controlled. Harold's Foul also has numerous commendations, and Officer Harold and Officer of the Month honors. Harold is credited with catching a teenage burglar suspect and catching 3 violent offenders who had just terrorized 3 citizens in 2 cities. Victim crimes, ladies and gentlemen. I'm all over that. If you're a victim, I'm going to go out of my way to help you. I just don't believe in going out of my way to help the state generate revenue. That's where we are right now. A recent incident where a homeless male was robbed. Again, some people will say, well, why'd you go through all that work for a homeless guy? Again, he was a victim. He wanted to file charges. He wanted to pursue charges. I went out of my way. 2 seconds later, I find the bad guy around the corner. He was taken into custody. Again, I'm about victims. If you're a victim, I'm out there to help you. He once kept 2 robbery suspects at gunpoint while he waited for backup. And he received the Silver Medal of Valor in 2011 for his alertness, bravery, and dedication to duty when he helped arrest 2 armed felons robbing a T-Mobile, according to records. Again, victim crimes, serious crimes, felonies, where lives are at risk. I'll be there if you need me. And there's this notion that because I question what I see in the media, that I wouldn't somehow respond to an active shooter that occurred in my city or within my proximity. Of course I'm going to respond. That's my job. That's my duty. I want to help people. I'm not a coward, so I'm going to go. I'm not going to allow people to be killed while I'm hiding outside the building. So, and that was the end of the article, ladies and gentlemen. I just wanted to go through it piece by piece to let people know that I'm not batshit crazy. That's what the mainstream media wants you to believe. But again, you want to know the truth, go to the source. I had another recent incident at work where a young man had a restraining order on him, and we had to take his weapons. From the one side of the story, I thought it was crazy. Again, until I actually got the meeting the other day and realized this guy he's on point. I see why why they want him to be considered crazy. But there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. I just wanted to give you guys a rundown on that article from Sun Sentinel. I am a conspiracy theorist. No, I should say I'm a conspiracy realist. I recognize conspiracies do happen. And I do recognize historically the American government has been involved in conspiracies. Again, I can ramble off a list to you, but do your own research. Just type in American government conspiracies or 10 conspiracies that turn out to be true. All right. I'm done with my rant, as they said. I'm the Penitent Cop, and I'll see you next time.